Hi, my name is Leslie Barnes, and I am a teacher here at Weatherford High School. I invited your student to the trip that I'm taking this summer, educational tours for the capitals of the British Isles, and I understand that you may not have been able to make it to the parent meeting that I hosted last night, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to meet me and for me to give you the information that I gave to the parents last night. A little bit about myself. I've been teaching for 14 years. I've been teaching world geography, world history, United States history. Right now I'm teaching AP as well. I'm a graduate of Wayland Baptist University, where we are the pioneers, and I have a master's in curriculum and instruction from the University of North Texas. I attend Broadway Baptist Church. This here is my husband and my two kids. They are twins that just turned 2 this past week, and so we are really excited. My husband has a PhD in New Testament from TCU, and he's going to be inviting his students to the trip as well. He works at Legacy Classical Christian School in Hazlet, and so he actually has a business that he does from home. He's a freelance editor, writer, and formatter. So I'm going to be traveling with Diane Bollinger. She is the one of the art teachers on my campus. She is a seasoned traveler. You can see here she's gone to Italy. She's actually been to Ireland before, and she teaches most of our advanced art classes. And so she's been actually on 7 different tours. So I'm really excited to have her on board with me on this trip. Some of the things that we covered in the meeting, why it's important to travel. Clearly, if you're watching this video, you understand why travel is important for students. Where we're going to be going, our travel partners, the safety approaches that I take for your students, and what is included and not included in the price tag of the trip, and how to reserve your spot. Why I'm passionate about travel? Well, I'm actually a beginner at travel, but this summer I am taking a group of students to Italy, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm also really excited about offering this opportunity to our students to go to the British Isles. We talk about Italy, we actually talk about the British Isles quite a bit during social studies class, so I'm excited to have them understand, really understand the places that we talk about every year. And I do want your students to feel that, the world is their home and that they are a part of this larger global community. And I think a fun way to do that is to travel with a group. So, tour highlights. I'm sorry if some of my stuff is cut off here, but some of the things that we're going to be doing, and you're going to see this in the itinerary. So, we're going to fly first into Dublin. And one of the places that I'm really excited about going is right here, St. Patrick's Cathedral. We're going to go throughout the city. We're even going to see the Trinity College Library and where the Book of Kells is. Then we're going to be traveling to Belfast in Northern Ireland, right here. And there's several things we're going to see. One of the things is the Titanic Belfast, which is the shipyards here that the Titanic was built in, and then we will eventually cross the channel there and go to Edinburgh in Scotland, and there's the castle that we're going to see, and we're going to tour inside. We're going to take the night train to London, and we're going to see the changing of the guard, Big Ben, and right here Buckingham Palace. So those are just some of the things we're going to see, and we have added the extension to Paris, and I'm going to talk about that here in a few minutes. So why did I choose EF? This is an amazing company. It's been around for 50 years. And they have offices in every country that they send students to. So if there's ever any situation that pops up, we're able to get in contact with the associates there in EF in the country that we're located, as opposed to just calling the states and trying to get information of whatever kind we need. You can earn high school and college credit. I'm going to talk about that when the slide arrives. And if you were to take a 12-day tour on your own and try to see all of these things, this would be very costly. So they try to keep the price tag low so students can have a very educational experience. And I want you to know this is an educational experience. When you send your students over, the day is just jam-packed full of things to see, places to experience, and it's going to be one of those situations where your student doesn't get to like choose not to go. So you know, if let's say they wake up in the morning and they're like, I'm tired, I want to sleep in. Well, the answer to that is no. That's not what you're sending them there for. So it's going to be jam-packed with lots of great experiences. Another reason I've selected this organization, they have a 24-hour tour director. So we are going to be met at the airport by a tour director that will stay with us the entire time until they put us back on the airplane 12 days later, which is fantastic for me. So that means that I'm not having to figure out where we're going, how to get on certain transportation, and so my job is really to make sure that your student is safe. We have that person will know how to speak the language. Luckily for us, we're going to the British Isles, so clearly, they speak English. But when we go to Paris, that's going to come in very handy whenever we don't speak the language. They also have other chaperones. We'll have chaperones. They have a 24-hour emergency on-call service. So if there is any situation that you need to get a hold of your student and you can't, or vice versa, that will be taken care of. The peace of mind policy is really cool, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute, like in depth. So I'm going to hold on to that. And then my approach to safety is that you are trusting me to take your baby across the big blue ocean, and I'm going to get them back safe. As far as rules go, usually, we take the best kids, and if there's any situation where there's misbehavior, then you need to know that it is up to the tour leader, which is myself, to send your student home, and if needed. Like, for example, if they decide to trash a hotel room, they decide to get drunk, they decide to have shenanigans with somebody of the opposite sex or whatever, you need to know that I will be sending them home. Partially because it's not really fair to the other students that the attention has to be really focused on your student, but that's just not how we want to represent our school and our country, and that would be actually on the parent's dime. So I would highly recommend that you encourage your student to behave while overseas, and I know they will. Okay, so as far as traveling goes, we actually have 40 slots open, but the likelihood of us getting 40 people signed up is slim. So what happens is, if we have less than 40 students, they pair us up with other schools from around the United States, which can really enhance the experience, because you end up with these relationships, that you could be friends for a really long time, have networking opportunities. I hear a lot of people, they stay pen pals, or yes, they follow each other on Twitter, and it's a really neat experience. But it does help keep the cost low, because we're having to possibly meet up with another group. That's why the departure window, it looks like it does. So it says June the 8th to June the 16th, 2017. So that's what the window's for. We can't really get a set date until about 4 months out. So we kind of have to be patient in that respect. I left the date in June instead of July because I do have some students who are currently juniors that are looking to go on the trip, and they will obviously have just graduated, and that they want to go. But the sooner that they get home, they'll be really focusing in on making that transition to college. Okay, the travel protection plan, which is part of the peace of mind policy. Okay, so if for some reason our tour gets canceled or interrupted, so why would a tour get canceled? If there was some sort of a natural disaster, it would be canceled. If there was some sort of a war that broke out, it may be canceled as well. The Global Protection Plan covers those things. It is $155. You can opt out of it, but I would never suggest anybody do this. Because if for some reason your tour gets canceled or there's an interruption, maybe it's the weather, that this covers those situations. If there's an illness, like maybe before you leave, if God forbid, you break your leg, you're probably not going to want to walk around these tourist sites. If you have the protection plan, you can get your money back or get credit for another trip. Now, let's say, for example, you get hurt or ill on the trip. It covers those medical expenses or a trip to the hospital. If a situation pops up where your student has to go to the hospital and they need extensive treatment and they need to come home, it pays for them to come home even if the trip isn't over yet. If your student is injured or sick and they need to remain still, but they need an adult, like a parent, it will pay for you to come over. One parent, so make sure you have your passport. So those are really good things to have covered. Baggage or property loss, flight delays, and of course a 24-hour access to English-speaking representatives. We're also going to talk about what happens if we start paying on a trip and a war breaks out. If that happens, first of all, they're not going to send us to a place where war is happening. But if we're uncomfortable with a place, for example, this year, my parents were a little uncomfortable with the extension to Greece for the reasons of the massive amounts of refugees coming into Greece and the economic instability. If you have a situation where the group is uncomfortable with a place, even within 30 days of us departing, we can actually call EF Tours and let them know we are uncomfortable and we are not going there. So we need to rearrange our trip and go someplace else. And the Global Protection Plan covers that, and so does the Peace of Mind protection. The We Share program is a high school credit. It is an elective credit that you can get. It's paid for with the price tag, and you get it through the EF website through the part that says We Share. There's also college credit you can earn from a university. You do have to pay extra for that because you're paying for the actual college credit itself. So what your price tag pays for, I'm going to go forward and then I'm going to come backwards. Okay, so the things that you get whenever you pay, you get round-trip flights on major carriers, you get hotels with private bathrooms, you get breakfast paid for, you get dinners paid for. We get a comfortable motor coach, so no school buses. Other type of expenses paid, like if we need to travel across the English Channel or take a train someplace, those things are covered. In the price is also the Global Travel Protection Plan, a full-time bilingual tour director, an educational itinerary, which you have actually in your packet here, and everything on the list is paid for. So if it says that you're going to take a tour through a museum, that's covered because it's on the itinerary. So, the sightseeing by a licensed local guide, the entrance fees, and of course the high school credit through We Share. Now I'm going to come backwards. The things that the price tag does not cover. It does not cover lunches. The reason for that is because they realize that you're going to be traveling in large groups, and groups might want to go somewhere and you don't want to go there and you want to try something different, so you can have that flexibility. It could also be that you've had so much foreign food that you just really want to go find a McDonald's, have something that you recognize, and so that's why lunch is on your own. Beverages, souvenirs, and any kind of free time activities, you got to pay for those on your own. There's also tipping, and we'll talk more about how that works during the parent meetings right before the trip, but they suggest about $10 per day to pay your tour director, bus drivers, local guides, because they really live off tips. And then you need to pay for your passport. If you are not a U.S. citizen, then you need a visa. Now, as far as your passport goes, it has to be valid for at least 6 months after our return date. So that's like January 2018